Hello, I am Dr. Cinema. I analyze and diagnose movies and explain them to you. Religion is one of the most popularized, talked about, and a lot of times controversial subjects that anyone can talk about. So many different views and beliefs, so many different texts, scholars. It's a very sensitive subject for a lot of people. And it doesn't really help whenever Hollywood creates a movie related to a religious person or religious event. Yes, a few of them were turned into a couple of nice animated movies and maybe got a couple of alright, fine live action ones. But when it comes to religious movies, the one movie that always gets talked about is Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ. Now, the basic premise of this movie is that it focuses on the last 12 hours of Jesus Christ's life, and this basically starts where he gets turned into the Romans by Judas all the way up to his crucifixion. And there's a lot of issues and controversies, especially brought up by Bible scholars about some of the things that were in the movie, but I'm not going to try to focus on all of those. I'm just trying to focus on the most on the biggest part of this movie, which is the gore, the torture. And the basic premise of any movie based on Jesus Christ and his life is that we want to see how good person he is, how compassionate he was, his kindness, his fair and strong leadership of people, and how he wasn't really a violent person. And so some people were taken back by how graphic this R-rated movie was. It's like a cross of the Bible and Saw. I understand what Mel Gibson's trying to show us that Jesus went through a lot of torture and pain during his final hours and how cruel it was. But does that make it a good Jesus-based movie? I mean, a lot of times when people make it good, well, make a Bible movie, the one part you have to get down right to make it a good one is that you want to connect with the main character, which is usually Jesus Christ. Connect with him, sympathize, feel for him. You want to like him, you want to root for him, and a lot of the times people get that down. But with the strange thing about the Passion of the Christ is that they do focus a lot on like the actual Christ, like such as focusing on him being tortured and stuff, but there really isn't a lot of focus on the passion part. It's just showing torture upon torture. We've got the crown of thorns being forced upon him. We've got the whips with the, I guess, nail hooks on them that when they hit against him and pull back, they take skin off his back. And, of course, the actual nailing of him on the cross. And I wanted to feel for Jesus because he was an important person in history, and he did, and a lot of that probably did happen, and even if it didn't, there probably was a lot of torture and pain involved before he actually died. But I can't really connect with him because we don't really see a lot of him doing kind things. We've got some flashbacks of him before, or like the final 12 hours. But we never actually see him do a lot of the stuff we've heard about from in church and in the Bible. More it's just more of he's getting beaten up, he's bleeding, he's falling down, he's being forced to carry the cross up the hill, but from a story perspective, from a connectability with the character, from a movie perspective, it just doesn't really quite work. I'm and I'm not sure if we really needed this kind of a movie, like a Jesus movie that's so focused on beating the living crap out of him. Look, I was born and raised in a Christian home. We weren't like super religious, but we did go to church on a regular basis. On Sundays, I went through confirmation class, and I have my own personal views and beliefs about Jesus and God like everyone does, but I think there are a lot of people who felt like, why did you make this movie and why did you do this? Why did you do this? I mean, there's so many slow motion shots that you take them all out. Like the movie probably lasts for like 30 minutes. So I think with this, Mel Gibson, he wanted to try to force us to go through like this emotional anguish, but he didn't really set up any emotional aspect of the film in a lot of the thing. Like there's like no emotional connection, and it's not that great of a story from a story perspective. I mean, it has like a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics, but also has an 80% on there as well. And again, Rotten Tomatoes is not the perfect website to gauge how good a movie is, but it does show that a lot of the critics were not that well satisfied, but there are a lot of people that did like it, but there's still a lot of people that just didn't really like it. And if you had an experience, a religious experience, an emotional one with this movie, I can understand why, but I believe that from an objective standpoint, that from a story and Hollywood movie perspective, this movie just falls short. But it's not necessarily a bad movie either. Like, I believe that overall this movie is average. And like it could have done more. It got a couple things right, but it could have done so much more to actually make it a better story about the life of Jesus Christ, especially in the last 12 hours. Maybe focus on other characters and away from the gore and torture of it. Focus on like more of the other characters that were like trying, they were not, that were also going through like an emotional time, like seeing Jesus being treated this way. I think you could have done a lot more. Diagnosis, average movie. Like if you feel a connection with it, I can understand why, but the diagnosis is that average, could have done a lot more, but it's not a bad movie, and I I guess in the end it's still worth checking out. Well, that's the diagnosis. And no, we are not talking about the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. Sorry about that. Like, comment, subscribe, share. And this is Dr. Cinema. Can't wait to see you next time.